what they want to hear and what they don't want to hear. And so, by and large, you let them play. You're communicating the things that are most important and most critical for what's going on.
What is your strategy towards using it shuts off after 15 seconds? Do you still want to move fast? Do you want to kind of maybe take advantage of the defense for when their clock goes out?
I think it's a great question, and I think that's something that we wouldn't really want the people we're going against to know.
Is that, staying on the subject maybe a little bit, whether there might be levels maybe more now?
I'd probably answer it the same way. I think the mixing up of tempos is important. How each team, each opponent, what you feel benefits you. I think the pace of play has always been something that offenses utilize to try to create an advantage, whatever that may look like, going as fast as possible or as slow as possible, just to try to win the game. And so, we'll be ready to do whatever we feel is going to help us win.
Do you think the helmet communication changes things more for the offense or the defense?
I can only speak to our side, so that'd be a question more for Kane and the defensive guys on what that's changed for them. So I think it's hard to say. I think that's hard to answer that on what that's like from the other side of it. So I'm not sure how to answer that.
How comfortable are you in your team's ability to kind of win games in different ways on offense, whether it be grounding out the ball on the ground or airing it out or going fast, going slow?
I wouldn't necessarily use the word comfort, when you're dealing with training camp and progressing. I think we have quality players at all positions, and we try to be tough to defend in all areas. And I think that's what great offenses do, is that, they can execute what they need to in the moments that they have to. So when you have to run the ball, you got to be able to run the ball. If you have to throw the ball, you got to be able to throw the ball. And so I think that's what we're trying to build and create each and every day, because different weeks, different matchups, different schemes that you're going against are going to, require you to attack a certain way. And so I wouldn't say comfortable, but I would say that we're building and growing towards that.
What are you seeing in Brailsford and Milroy's connection point this camp?
I think just time on task together, and I think the character of each one of those kids is fantastic, and so they both take a lot of pride in their jobs. They all know that the communication is super important, and it all starts with the center and the quarterback. And so, so far so good, and that'd be a good question to ask those two kids, but I think it's going great.
Obviously, he's physical coach, but Caleb Oldham as a route runner out there in fall camp. What have you seen from him executing those routes?
Yeah, I think, every day Caleb does something to impress you, and every day there's still things for him to improve on, and I know, Coach Shep is pointing those out, in every moment that Caleb's out there, he's getting coached, extremely hard. And so a lot to be excited about and a lot to work on, and we're super happy with where Caleb's at, and we know there's still even more for him, to grow and get better at, and he's working on that every day.
What kind of competition do you have when you see from the quarterbacks, 12 practices?
Good. I think, we have some really good young players in that room, and they push each other, and they all have done a nice job, and they're all improving and growing, and so I've been pleased with the room, and yet, like most of the other questions, there's things that we could do better, and that's what's fun about coaching, is to try to help them get better, and you see growth, you see progress, new things come up, new installation, new defensive schemes, reps that they've seen versus this coverage, but maybe not that, or this pressure, but maybe not, the other ones. And so, the relentless pursuit of continuous improvement. And I see that in the group, and their mindset's been great. They're supportive of one another, and so I've been happy with that.
What do you want to see from the winner of the right tackle competition? Like, who ultimately, what will be the factors that determine that battle?
I know this seems real simple, but the guy that plays the best, the guy that plays well consistently in all areas. This is an unforgiving league. We all know that. You can't hide, and so you need quality play up front. And so whether it's in the run game and pass protection, I have belief in the players that are competing. And now it's a matter of, who does it the most consistently, to the best of their ability. And so that's what we're looking for.
In your experience, both as a player and a coach, what are some of the keys for quarterbacks developing chemistry with their receivers and tight ends?
Communication and time on task. I think a clear communication on the rhythm and timing by the quarterback, the route detail by the receivers and tight ends and running backs, because this game is one that rewards people that trust each other. know, I think the anticipation that's required to play and to count on one another, that when the wideout runs the route, he's going to be at a certain spot, and the quarterback's going to throw it at the right time to the right location. I think that requires trust, and we're building that every day.
Jalen talked about working with you and Kalen DeBoer, trying to find the plays that he's comfortable with and the plays that he executes with. How do those conversations work?
Just having conversations on what you see and what you know. I think some of it kind of it reveals itself. You know, you rep the plays, and you know, we chart things and look at things, and we see when he's making good, quick decisions, or where maybe he needs to see that play one more time. You know, and so every quarterback's different. You know, we've had lots of different quarterbacks in our offense, and they all had different things that they liked. And so, yeah, just communication, you know, and open and honest conversations. I think that's really important between a quarterback and his coaches, is that he's honest about what he sees, what he feels, what he likes. And we're honest about the same on our end, you know, and so that's been great.
What kind of growth have you seen from a guy like Emmanuel Henderson? What did you see from him from a comfortability and confidence standpoint?
I think E-Man's had a great camp. I think we're challenging him to be a consistent finisher on the ball. I think he's capable of great things. He's a great kid. He practices his tail off. He's been very explosive in camp. He can run. And we're just challenging him to be a complete wide receiver. And he has embraced that. He's a joy to be around. He always shows up with the right mindset, the right attitude. And so, yeah, we've been really happy with E-Man, and we know there's still more for him to go get, but he's done a good job so far.
From a coaching standpoint, what do you find you and your staff spending the most time on this point of fall camp?
Details, yeah, the small details. You know, there's still a little bit of installation that goes on, and there'll be some throughout fall that are real specific plays for specific opponents. But we have a large chunk of the install in. There's a little bit more to do the next day or so, and now you're just going back to, you know, fine tune the details.
E-Man's a guy that played some running back in high school. Do you see that in maybe his open field ability? And is there anything that, particularly his skill set, you can kind of utilize? Or
I think you see E-Man just be decisive as a runner, and he's fast, you know, and so when he decides to go and split people, he can. And so that's what I see.
What are the conversations like between you and Shep as you figure out the roles for the receiver?
Ongoing, you know, each day you talk with one another on what you see, what you like. I think we have a lot of really good players, and so, you know, the challenge is how can we maximize what they do well and put them in positions to be successful. And we have a variety of types of players, big, small, they're all fast. Tight ends have versatility, running backs have versatility, and so, you know, who's the best at certain jobs, while also understanding you can't be predictable and say, you know, when this guy goes in, they're throwing the ball deep, or when he goes in, they're running the ball, you know, so you have to make sure that you're mindful of that. But we have those conversations every day, not just Shep and I, but the whole staff about the different positions.
Regarding the wide receivers, or that, I don't know if they're all learning all the positions, and does that start to come to an end? Do you start to slot people, or do you keep going on?
We move guys around for sure. You know, we try to teach them conceptually so that you're playing the best players. You know, that you don't want to, you know, stack really good players in the same position. So you try to cross-train people so that they can play all three wideout spots. Tight ends can play both spots. Running backs can play at different, you know, places on the field. Offensive linemen the same way. You know, you're trying to train the inside guys to play both guards and center. Tackles play both ways, and so I think that's important for us. And you know, as I mentioned, with the length of the season, we're going to need everybody. We want to make sure our best guys are out there, and that you're not, you want to put, you know, the best people and not stack them behind each other. So you move guys around and try to give them an opportunity to show what they can do at multiple spots.
Got some more questions.
Coach DeBoer mentioned after the scrimmage the improvement on limiting like those foolish penalties on both sides of the ball. Have you noticed your unit kind of improve in that area?
I think we've gotten better. You know, I think those things come down to focus and discipline and attention to detail. And sometimes when the players have a little bit more time on task with schemes, maybe they're thinking a little bit less pre-snap, and sometimes that lends itself, you know, to having some of those pre-snap or foolish penalties. But yeah, we're harping on that every day. We chart it, you know, we bring attention to it. I think you achieve what you emphasize. And so that's certainly been a point of emphasis for us.
Is there an area where you most want to see improvement from this next scrimmage?
Yeah, I think just avoiding negative plays. I think that's always, I think staying on schedule. And there's lots of layers to that, whether it's a pre-snap penalty, whether it's a missed block, whether it's a poor decision by a quarterback or a receiver not running the right route or whatever it may be, and I'm not saying specifically on any of those, but there's a wide, range of reasons why you may have a negative play. Maybe it's the play caller not putting the players in the right position to get out of a tough look. And so that's what I'd like to see, us to stay on schedule so that we can just execute in normal down and distances and advantageous situations for us.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thanks.